begun already. Now across the street.
It was before the Missouri. It was before the wall, the Truman.
The wall, of course.
Churchill.
Yeah, because before Churchill made his speech. His speech he made in Fulton, Missouri.
47.
46, the summer of 46,
okay.
or whatever. But the Dice Committee was already working. The Un-American Activities Committee of Congress was working. People were being sent to jail. And across the street, Shavington Street was a short street. We had 7 houses on each side of the street, 3 families in a house, 42 families, everybody Jewish except 2 families. 2 nice Italian families. They lived on Jew Street. Diagonally across the street from us was a former Army captain, a real American, and he gave my father's name to the FBI as being subversive. My father was absolutely, I've never seen him that way before. He was frightened. He was frightened. People were being sent to jail. People were being sent to jail. People were being ostracized. This was in May of 46. McCarthy didn't start till 3 or 4 years later, so the anti-American craze began as soon as the war. Anti-communist craze, not anti.
You said anti-American.
Anti-communist, the internal anti-Russian was a question of foreign affairs. We're talking about anti-communist internal was frightening people. Don't forget, we've had movies in the last period about the Hollywood, what happened. That was in McCarthy. That was not till 50, 51, 52. We're talking about 1946. Stop a minute. I don't have that much more to say. I went to school in Boston University in September of 46. In the period, I'd worked, Johnny and Donald, and we all worked in the Gerald. We all worked in the Carnival. I may have told at a different time. I went to university, and I was not very pleased there. The course of studies that I had was very, very inadequate. It was physical education where I learned nothing. And when I wanted to change to business administration, they told me I was a maladjusted veteran and I couldn't do anything till I finished a full school year. Anyway, through my good friend Callahan, we got a stipendia to go to New Mexico A&M. And I remember I came...
It's a stipend, not a stipendia, okay?
Stipend, okay.
Either English or Hebrew or
okay.
One language.
I came home on a Friday afternoon from school, and I told my parents, Monday, I'm going to New Mexico. I'm leaving BU, I'm going to New Mexico A&M. Exactly where was in Mexico, I wasn't sure. Was it next to California, or was Arizona next? Was California, New Mexico, Arizona, or lehefach? New Mexico, Arizona. Anyway, he looks at me, and the only comment he says, "You couldn't go any further away?" That was as close to criticism I think he ever made of any decision I had. Anyway, I went to New Mexico, and the only relation to meeting my father we had was coming home for Christmas or coming home for summer. Christmas was a few days. Oh yeah, in those days you didn't talk. A telephone was expensive, right. So I would call every month or so, and I would ask for Arthur.
I know that we didn't.
And of course my mother would say, "Arthur's not home." She heard my voice. She knew I was okay. What else was there to say? When Art got out of the Army...
6 months you never even wrote?
No, I never wrote. No, in college I never wrote. Art came to New Mexico a year afterwards. And my father, at that time, cars were hard to get. The war was just over. And my father, through good friends and whatnot, bought a Nash, N-A-S-H, a 1946 Nash. And he was so pleased with that car. And a year later, he traded in. He said, I traded in. He says, I don't have to worry about trouble. He traded in. He bought on a, you couldn't, he bought a 47 Nash, a two-tone brown. And then for 48, he bought a 48 Nash. The 47 Nash, Art and I were going back to college in September. He says, you'll have a car. Why should you not have a car like anybody else? Which was very, very nice. And then while we were in school, we were earning, Art and I, through the GI Bill, our full tuition, full books, full all the writing materials we needed, and we got $75 a month. $75 a month in 1947, 48, 40 was a nice sum of money. Art and I didn't spend it all. Still, every 2 or 3 months, my father would send us a $10 bill, and he would write, just to let you know that you still have a father. In Christmas of 48, we came home and my father was sick. Just what he was sick from, they thought he had diabetes. And then I ran into in December of 1948, I ran into the curse of the world today. I went to the drugstore to fill a prescription, to get him, it must have been insulin. And I needed a syringe. He says, I can sell you the insulin, but I can't give you a syringe. I says, why not? He says, it can be used for drugs. I says, how do you use it for drugs? I'd been in the Army 2.5 years. I was a world traveler. I had no idea what drugs were. I was a square. I thought I was pretty smart, but I was really square. Anyway, I got the prescription, or I had it in my pocket. I don't remember which. And I got the. So they thought he had diabetes. We went back to school, and my mother tells me, he's hurting, he's telling the doctor it's hurt, it's not. So they come to they can't find anything. They decided that he had nervous breakdown. So my father and mother got tickets to go to Florida. Nervous breakdown, you got to go work. And the day he was going to go to Florida, he was so bad he went to hospital. They took him to one of the best, which hospital is in Boston, I don't remember. It was the top hospital for internal diseases. And of course, they opened internal medicine. They opened him up and closed him right up. He had cancer of the pancreas. My mother was crazy.
Which is not curable even today.
My mother believed, there was absolute belief by my parents that nothing was more important than school. And she waited until almost the last minute before calling us up and telling us to come home. Art and I parked the car. We left the car with did we leave the car with a friend of ours or at the airport? We flew home the first time on a plane. We went to New York. We changed planes. And on the plane from New York to Boston, there were bags there. I found out what those bags were for. They were, if you got seasick.
It's barf bags.
Well, I'd been seasick on boats, so I got seasick on the airplane, and we got to Boston, and we got there just about hours before my father died. He was, my mother says he recognized us. Whether he did or he didn't, I don't know. He died. I think I told earlier that I thought, in retrospect, we lost a lot. I lost a lot. All the things that I since would have liked to know. I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to ask him, and I wasn't smart enough to ask him. On the other hand, he didn't volunteer, so he wasn't smart enough to do that. So you, my children, with me being alive and your mother being alive, when you read this and you still have questions, ask it now.
To read it.
If you see it, oh, if you see it.
You would have corrected me half a dozen times.
Oh, of course I would have. I mean, the only person that's smarter than me is you.
You're right.
She's smart, my children, she's smart.
Okay.
Done.